4 years ago today, the 28th of July 2020, Grounded entered into early access and game preview on Xbox and Steam. It's been an amazing game, an amazing journey that I've been a part of ever since the very first reveal in 2019. Within days of it launching, it had millions of players, a huge success for Obsidian, with their core team making it less than 15. It left early access in September 2022 and it was pretty much an amazing experience to see all the updates, the love and passion the devs put into the game, and of course the updates they've done since. We're not getting any more updates now. Grounded is done, other than just maybe some hotfixes and hopefully a little bit of quality of life. But what a journey for me as a YouTuber covering it too. Gave me my biggest month I'd ever had, and I'd had success with games like Ark, DayZ and Conan beforehand, but never the level of views or subs in a month as when Grounded first launched. 25 million views later, that's how much Grounded has meant to me over 2 channels. So obviously a big shout out to Obsidian for making one of the best games going. I'm going to be reading out some of your comments in between that I asked for to celebrate in a special short, and please leave even more comments about why Grounded is so special in the comment section down below. What are we actually doing today? Well, yeah, I'm going to list the 5 features that for me make Grounded stand out amongst its peers, particularly survival games, what makes it so special, and why if you haven't somehow played it, you should absolutely go and check it out as soon as possible. And starting off with one that lots of Grounded players appreciate is the systems that allow you to build and manage your inventory. It has got great base building, but so do a lot of survival games, but it's these features that really gel with the base building that make it so special for Grounded. Being able to pick up and place items that you've done and then just decide that it needs a new home is absolutely a game changer, especially in survival games where so much is punished by basically demolishing something and only getting half your resources back. That said, Grounded was one of them games. Back in the day in the first version, and for quite a while, you wouldn't get all of your resources back when you demolished something. They also didn't really have the ability to move stuff. That was something that got added. But thank God it did. It really did make Grounded just a bit more of a joy to play. Less getting frustrated in building your base. More enjoyment on making and creating something pretty special. Other games have added stuff like this, but certainly Grounded really were the ones ahead of the curve in refining and making it all good. And of course the other thing that they did really well was craft from storage and dump from storage. It seems like a given nowadays, but still so many games, particularly survival games where inventory management is a lot of what you do, are struggle to add it to their games. Grounded was one of the first to really be able to dump all your necessary resources and craft within a range without having to dip into everything. Again, this was something they added over time, but still way ahead of a lot of other people. Henry is 7IV. Grounded is so special to me because there isn't another game I've truly been with for every update since the beginning. More importantly though, it's the aesthetic and enemies that do it for me. Growing up I always had a fascination with entomology and arachnology, and was even going to pursue it as a career before finding out entry level jobs are difficult, underpaid, and overall it's better enjoyed as a hobby. So a game that pays attention to detail and shows love and care for its insects was an immediate must play for me. It also helped everything else about the game, from the progression, atmosphere, combat and survival was fun too. Tyrone EH4PZ, great game to hop on with the bros and just mess around, and the boss fights and jokes that are made and the bonds this game can make are great. Happy anniversary Grounded. Static maps are really hard to carry on evolving or iterating on. If you've ever played games like Conan Exiles or Ark, you'll know that even if you love the game, over a certain amount of time you are just going to get bored of the map. Now Grounded is no different for sure. 1200 hours in the game, there are definitely times that I think, yeah, I've seen this part of the map 20 million times, I'm kind of done with it. But what Grounded did over the years, especially during early access, having the luxury of being able to add that and add new areas, it kept the game pretty fresh. From refining and adding the things like the sandbox, putting stuff on the picnic table, to full out fleshing out all the upper yard for its 1.0 release. But plenty of games do that during the early access, so what makes Grounded special? I think it is the attention to detail with Grounded and their maps. That's what elevates it beyond other games. You go and play Conan Exiles, you still feel like quite a lot of the ruins and the areas are still pretty repeated or generic. That's even more so in Ark, where yeah, you can rely on maybe a few clearings, some pretty mountains, or maybe some specific biomes like the redwood looking nice. But with the ability to pretty much customize and pull out cultural references from the 90s, Grounded was able to really make their map vibe and pop. but it also feels like a traditional survival game, that danger lurks anywhere and that you can get attacked while running through the grasses at any moment. Grounded's got a great choice and selection of dungeons, and I would say there's definitely other games that also do that really well. But I've always loved and appreciated the fact that Grounded kinda just gels it all together. Having a static map with really interesting items and things in it, giving great base locations, and so ultimately all of that really comes together to make Grounded what it is. If Grounded was a procedurally generated map, could it work? Maybe, but I think it would lose a lot of charm and a lot of the good things that make Grounded what it is. The cherry on the cake with Grounded really is, for me, how they go and evolve the map at times. From turning off the haze, meaning that you're going to spread a whole wave of new enemies across the yard as well as resources together, to even something as simple as blowing up the rake and so that we can climb on top of the picnic table. I think at one point they may have had more plans. We always wanted more weather and stuff like that to affect the game, and it could be interesting. I'm hoping something they're going to consider for Grounded 2, but even in them just two small examples, it shows that you can really change and mix up how Grounded is played with the map being explored. And with New Game Plus, that was taken to the next level, albeit more cosmetically, with the changes of colour from things like the sandbox to the bikes and more. The ability to now have New Game Plus with a mixing up of the resources we need, like milk rollers and raw science, definitely adds and elevates it beyond a lot of other survival games. Chris Wooten, 1846. Being an avid survival game player for more than 15 years, this was the first game I ever picked up and was captivated by every newly learned recipe, creature or landmark around the corner. How creative you could be with building your structures and well-planned quests to not take you away from the enjoyment of exploring the game. I get so lost in exploring, hoarding items, fighting creatures and building throughout the yard, I have yet to even beat the main game. It keeps me coming back. It's a joy to play with friends or my kids. The graphics are the most pleasing to my eyes of any survival game. It's a true masterpiece. Haven't found one complaint to any of the survival systems or mechanics. For me, it's perfect. Jurassic J Bear. Grounded being my favourite game is because the game is the most fun I've had in a long time. Me and my friends started a world together, and us both being terrified of spiders and what goes on, it just makes it fun to play with friends. I love the environment and design of the game, especially the bugs. They've done Grounded amazingly well, and I can't wait to see what else they will add for Grounded 2. Number 3 is the attention to detail, especially things like the voice work, but also the story of Grounded and how special it is. Again, this is something other games really struggle with, is making story as well as voice work actually important and really good. Some survival games have got a lot better, and some new ones have relatively added a ton more story. Think back to a good few years ago, maybe now though, Green Hell or even further The Forest had incidental storytelling as well as cutscenes. But there's not many games out there doing full voice work like we see when you interact with your friends or the characters do, nor the sheer amount of voice tapes and plot lines you can find alongside all the data tabs that you can get and notes. All of that really helps propel the story alongside the cutscenes that we get, alongside meeting Burgle, Wendell and being able to interact with them. Some of the best story I've seen in games has often actually not been that much, it's been more environmental. Things like The Forest, which is a really great game, but doesn't actually surprisingly have a ton of story other than you just finding little notes and pictures and a couple of cutscenes at the very end. And that's generally the way that a lot of games have gone. So Grounded really bucked that trend though, apart from some of them select games I mentioned, in delivering a full story, not just a couple of incidental items you find, not just one cutscene at the end, but things that would keep you going, the way that the map was being explored, driven by the story and the completion of certain dungeons, and obviously quests from Burgle. Given Obsidian's love for D&D and RPG role-playing mechanics, it would maybe feel like there should be some more of that, choices you can make. But I still think that even just with the Easter eggs and maybe the alternative ending, we've still got some really good additions that not a lot of other survival games have. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, Max saying it ain't lemon crime is maybe starting to grate on me after 1200 hours and playing him as my main pretty much for most of that. But it's levels above the voice work and the story elements that you find all throughout the game, with the culmination of the conclusion of the teenagers that shrunk down and finally managed to get themselves big again while rescuing the mad scientist. Antoine Daniels 6804. Grounded is a game I hooked on from day one. I could play with my bros or my son and have a totally different experience every time. My favourite part is the building. I love any game where you can build a custom base and terrain features, plus the dozens of walls, stairs, decorations and other things make it so awesome. I'd say in 4 years of play, 3 have been spent making bases. The greatest feature though is not even in the game, it's the developers and the awesome people who brought us the game. They listened to the game community, they continued to improve the game, brought us content that was fun to play and never charged a dime. They set themselves apart from every other game developer out that now just want to squeeze every cent from the gaming community. They could have easily charged for it and been successful, and they delivered a beautiful game for free that not only was completed, but they continued to add content and never asked for a microtransaction. They cared about their audience and their fans. Another thing that really makes Grounded special, and I think a lot of this goes unappreciated, is the sheer amount of animations and the combat that's in the game. It's definitely grown from its early days of being pretty basic and generic like so many others. Grounded really does have just a great amount of VFX and the animations for everything you do. Really adds to the immersion, and it's something nice to look at while you're conquering the backyard. Again, comparing it to so many other big survival games, the sheer amount of different animations and details that you have in Grounded are far better than anything else. Combat, especially with all the effects, while some will still maybe say they could do with some more different types of attacks, I still think it's miles above games like Ark, Conan and more. With the animations and then them effects being applied to your weapons, it has made Grounded again elevated beyond just simply having a survival game where your guy just chops a tree with one animation and that's pretty much it. The way the creatures especially, like, pay attention to how a bug moves and reacts to you next time, really have a focus and just see the way it shakes and wobbles and moves around, tries and works you out. Even with the attacks, sure, some of the bugs only have a limited amount that they do, but the way that it's all just put together really is special. The bugs and creatures aren't just mindlessly going for you, they have actually got, or seemingly feel like they've got, proper AI that dictates what they're going to do. It may still be a bit smoke and mirrors, but it's definitely miles better than other games that I've mentioned like Conan Exiles and Ark, where dinosaurs and creatures just don't really feel that alive. But every creature you come across in Grounded has got personality, and that's down to them animations and down to the way the effects work on them. Terraria Kid 0011. When I first played Grounded, I was hunting some spiders and didn't know the difference between the wolf spiders and wall breathers. And when I fought the wolf spider, I thought it'd be easy until it literally started hunting me down. I had to make a whole new world because of that wolf spider. That's now, whenever I see one, I run past it, even in New Game Plus. Bubba Dillitsum. For me, I really love Grounded because of the exploration. Like, I remember when I first got it on Games Pass, going into the hedge, just being amazed by the look of it and the amazing music. It's grown to be my favourite game, and even met a lot of good friends in the Grounded looking for group parties on Xbox. Grounded also does give everyone a good way of playing and freedom to choose what kind of build and character you want. There are so many different ways to build a build now, especially when you do get to New Game Plus. With all the various different trinkets that you can find though in the base vanilla game, you can try out different styles. For sure, the Sour Battle Axe is still kind of OP and should be everyone's go-to weapon, but it still is a very late game weapon. It's totally viable to now be a archer class, to go around and carry on using poison, to be a barbarian, or to be something a bit quicker. And that's what I love about Grounded. The RPG roots and the D&D roots of really having you choose your own adventure, choose your own character and how you want it to behave, what way you're going to take down enemies. I think they do that pretty much better than anyone else. The various different systems, whether it's like the mutations and being able to unlock them, then mixing it up with the perks that you get from milk molars, not to mention all the perks and different attributes you get on your weapons and armour, and the weaknesses and resistance of bugs, it can be a bit overwhelming for some, but there's so much at play here that makes and elevates so much of what you do and how you do it different from so many other survival games, and really definitely on par with a lot of famous and popular RPGs. Only thing I would put on my wish list for Grounded 2 is maybe a bit more love and attention for silent assassins, sneak attacks, and maybe non-lethal ways to take care of bugs more. Spilt Coffee 1797. Grounded was a key stepping stone in my group as a person. Grounded was a key stepping stone in my growth as a person. It helped me develop and strengthen friendships, and even helped me out a bit with discovering I was transgender. Starting as a Peak main and becoming a Hoops main helped me realise a few parallels in real life. It's also been one of, if not the only survival game to truly capture my imagination and creativity, days and weeks and months of fun and building exploration and experimentation. It's a game like no other, truly. And there we go, rat bags, 5 key features. I mean, to be honest, there's probably more, and I reckon there might even be even more important ones. So tell me in the comment section what you really love about Grounded. What are the features that make it stand out from any other game? Thank you to everyone that left a comment. Hopefully I'll manage to include quite a few there. Obviously not as much as was actually given, but yeah. Thanks for the comments in saying how much Grounded means to you. I'm going to be still here for more Grounded. I'm not going anywhere. It's true the numbers are starting to dwindle a little bit in terms of views, but I am still enjoying doing stuff, whether it's my retro time travel series or maybe even a return to doing more New Game Plus stuff. And I'm going to start doing more countdown videos and talking explicitly about some of the best items, best creatures and bosses in the game, but voted by you as always. And I guess, yeah, thank you to Obsidian for making one of the biggest impacted games in my YouTube career, something an absolute joy to carry on playing and making content on, and I'm going to continue making content for a long time to come. Until next time, rat bags, laters.